Hello everybody, I am Northern Lion, and welcome to our final Humble Weekly Sales Spotlight for the Roguelike Bundle. This is Hack Slash Loot, as you can see, a game by David Williamson, and again, this is kind of like Dungeons of Dreadmore. It's kind of like Sword of the Stars, The Pit. It is a grid-based, turn-based, fantasy-based roguelike. And it's a little bit more, I wouldn't necessarily say casual, because it's a difficult game for sure. I have not actually succeeded in completing any of the quests, but it's a little bit more lunch breaky almost, if that makes sense. Like, this is the kind of game I think you can play a little bit more quickly than those games. And one of the things that's really cool about this is that there's actually multiple quests, and I believe this is basically the only game in the bundle that actually has this option. Basically, when you start a game, if you look down here where it says Mask of the Boy King, you can also see They Dwell Beneath by clicking this arrow key, basically. You can see that there are multiple quests that we can actually get involved with here, so it's almost like having different kinds of levels that you can actually engage in. We're going to do Mask of the Boy King because I think it's the easiest. Maybe that will give us a small chance of success. We also have multiple classes like Archer, Saracen, Knight, and Wizard. We're going to play as the Knight, as we have in basically all of these, because it gives me more hit points, which gives me a slightly larger chance of not dying right away. But another thing that's cool here is I want to point out it has almost like a Dreadmore-like randomness to it, or variability to it, where you can have random character and random quest and then just start the run. We'll probably die multiple times over the course of this, but if we get lucky, we might be able to string together a half-decent run. Again, this is available as part of the Pay What You Want Humble Weekly Sale, which you can find a link to in the video description below. Okay, Mask of the Boy King, let's get started. So, here's the preamble to this quest. The Boy King, Nebkipure, don't question me, he ruled when I was a kid and we learned the pronunciation in school, died a wealthy ruler. His followers buried him with his treasures in a well-guarded tomb. Now, many centuries later, his tomb has been uncovered, and the riches within lie waiting for anyone brave enough to enter. The greatest of these treasures is the Pharaoh's Mask, a burial mask fashioned from pure gold and worn posthumously by the Boy King himself. Rich will be the adventurer brave enough to venture into the tomb and recover that mask. I will do my best, Olmec. So, we're going to start by just attacking this rat here, and then I'll explain what the heck we got going on. Every piece of information you need is on the screen in Hack Slash Loot, and I really appreciate that because you don't have to fiddle with a character sheet, you don't have to fiddle with an inventory screen. It takes away a little bit of the, like, a loot hoarding kind of strategic depth of Dreadmore and Sword of the Stars, The Pit, but it also makes it a much more smooth experience. Not to say that any of those three games is better than any of the other ones. That being said, also, like, movement is very, very simplistic in Hack Slash Loot as well. So you can control the entire thing with the mouse. You can control the entire thing with the keyboard as well. I kind of prefer to use a little bit of a fusion of both. So let's just kill this rat, and I'll explain what the heck we've got going on here. Our quest, if you look at our map down here in, like, the middle, is to basically do the same thing that we do in, like, a Dreadmore, a Sword of the Stars, The Pit, or an Isaac. We're going to go from level to level, descending, and fighting bosses, and eventually, hopefully, we'll have a chance to get that Pharaoh's Mask. The character sheet on the far left here has 4 pieces of equipment: our helmet, our chainmail, or, you know, a bodice, if you will, our weapon, which is a long sword, and we have a scabbard as well, which maybe we can use for a ranged attack, or is a scabbard just a belt? I actually don't know. Oh, we also have 4 more on this side, including some boots, but we are missing a ring slot right now. We have 2 of those, and we're missing an amulet slot. Hopefully we'll pick up some of those. On the right side is our information panel. We don't have any information here yet, but if I hover my mouse over like a tile, you can see some information. So this is a torch lit, flickering in a draft. Or this, desecrate tomb, a sullen and somber casket. We can desecrate that. There's a chance there'll be a skeleton inside, or there's a chance there can be some treasure inside. It's a skeleton. Skeleton's actually pretty nasty, so I'm glad that we were able to actually kill that guy on first hit. I am not going to open too many more of the actual caskets here. I'm not going to desecrate too many more of the caskets, because the skeletons, you know, it adds up. They're going to start kicking the bejesus out of us pretty soon. So, you know, in standard kind of roguelike fashion, our primary goal over the course of a Hack Slash Loot run, well, I mean, our primary goal is to complete the quest, but our tertiary goal, if you will, because our secondary goal is, of course, just to have fun. Our tertiary goal is to basically scour the floor for as much loot as possible, primarily in the form of treasure chests. Now, we have a scroll of enchantment. I really like the way that this game works from, like, an interface standpoint and, like, a looting standpoint as well. You just walk over something and then it pops up above your head and you can quickly see what it is. Scroll of enchantment, 1 use, plus something, minus something. Only way to know is to find out. So we can look up here in the top left and see what happens. Scroll gives Knight 1 defense, but it gives Knight vulnerability to psychic damage. So there's as usual, a trade-off, a positive and a negative for everything that happens in the game, which is where a lot of the fun kind of resides. This is an amulet. Oh, it's a ring, actually. And again, this is another good example. Just by hovering over what the ring is, we can actually see how it affects our stats. So, but you can see that if it improves something, it turns green. So our defense goes up to 8 from 7. And we also get It looks like we get a vulnerability maybe to like the undead or something like that. I can't really tell what the skull means, but it gives us +1 base defense, which is actually, I think, good enough to compensate for the negatives that might be associated with it as well. So, we are going to just continue moving onwards here. I get, you know, we're looking for a way to go down to the next level. But primarily, I'm actually just looking for as many enemies to kill as possible and as much loot to get as possible. What is this scroll? Curing. I mean, we'll use it. It gives me +1 defense and +3 health. It's kind of weird, and I don't mean weird bad, but it's kind of unusual, maybe is a better way to put it. The way that this game treats scrolls is almost like something like pills in The Binding of Isaac. They give you attribute bonuses or detriments. Usually, I'm used to like games like Dreadmore, for example, where when you take a potion, you just figure out what it is when it happens, but it's usually like a temporary effect, whereas in this, it's more permanent. So we can search this corpse. It did give us a scroll. The scroll is Fortitude. Gives us +4 health. Fantastic. I am A-okay with that. So, let's continue moving onwards here. There's a lot of things to like about hack/loot. Oh, the shield is usually something that hurts. Oh, it's a tome, actually. It usually hurts us from a damage standpoint, but it helps us from like a magic attack standpoint. But we're not going to really be able to do too much with that tome right now. If we were playing as a wizard, maybe we'd be able to do a little bit better. But anyway, why I call this a little bit more of like a casual roguelike. I hate to say things like that because people always take offense to this. This is not an easy game. As mentioned, oh, I accidentally got that skeleton out here. As mentioned, well, let's talk about the amulet first. How does this do? Oh, it gives us +1 extra defense. It's a pendant, not an amulet. My mistake. But I don't mean it in an offensive way, because a lot of people, you know, when they say, oh, it's a casual game, like, oh, you think this is Angry Birds Space? Not that there's even anything wrong with Angry Birds Space. But this is still a difficult game. I've never managed to actually complete any of the quests, but maybe today is the day. But it moves a little bit faster than those games, I think. You know, for the Curse of, or the Boy King, the Mask of the Boy King here, it's only 5 floors, so it's not like you're investing, you know, several hours as you would in Dungeons of Dreadmore just to complete one run. That being said, maybe you're investing several hours to get the skills and, you know, kind of experience necessary to get to that point. But it seems like it moves a little bit quicker. Also, death seems to be a little bit more prevalent, even though I'm not even close to dying right now. That could change very, very quickly depending on the kind of monsters that I encounter. And additionally, I am playing the easy mode right now. Not easy mode, but the easiest quest, or at least the beginner's quest. What's also cool about this game is the way that it handles unlocks. So, we might be able to see it in this video, but I was previously, like, prior to this, I was playing the non-Steam version of the game, because this came out back in 2012, I think, and I was playing maybe even a humble code for it, but I can't remember. But I remember that once you hit, like, a certain number of deaths, you actually start to unlock new classes in the game. Healing Spirit gives Knight 2 health. I'll take it. I think it only gave me 1, because maybe my max health is 47. Or sorry, maybe my max health is 48, but I may have also just taken 1 damage against the rat that I didn't actually notice. So, like, the longer that you actually suffer in the game, the more you unlock. And it's kind of, you know, Binding of Isaac-y in that sense, you know? The more you play, the more classes you unlock. It's not like you actually just start with them all from the get-go. So there actually is an incentive to dying. I think the first class that you unlock, what is this? Search Statue. I thought that was like a Super Meat Boy or Potato Man type thing there. Okay, so this would lower, it's a holy symbol. It would lower our defense by 1, but improve our magic. But I don't really want to improve my magic because I am playing as a knight. I apologize, by the way, because in like every single one of these episodes, I've been playing as like the hardiest melee class. The reason I did that is because those are usually the kind of class that are beginner friendly, or the classes that are beginner friendly. And even though I've played a lot of the genre, and I've played a lot of some of these games, it's still, you know, it's nice to have that little cushion when you're being watched, if that makes sense. Usually I actually prefer like a high damage ranged classes with low HP, but I didn't want to necessarily do that because it's a high risk reward type thing where you'd come in and be like, hey, I do 35 damage with my bow. Oh, I'm dead. What happened? Okay, let's try that again. Sorry, I swear it's not like this. Oh, usually I'm better than this anyway. I'm going to stop acting like a dinglehorn. Let's see what we got in our statue here. That looks like a pretty sweet piece of armor. It would lower our defense, but it would just lower our defense. Okay, actually, it kind of sucked. Oh, but it has, what is this? It says Vest of Regeneration. Maybe it has an extra effect that allows us to heal as we move on. So it did hurt us from a defense standpoint, but it might help us overall. And we'll see what the scroll does. Exalted Deeds. Gives Knight plus 2 health. I'm actually at full health, I think, so that's not really useful for me right now, but maybe at some point in the future. Is this another holy symbol? It is. Don't really want to sacrifice too much more in the way of... I desecrated a tomb by accident. Don't want to sacrifice too much more in the way of defense, and that's why I'm not picking that ring up as well. Also, I really just don't need extra magic attack right now. If I was playing as the wizard, I may, but playing as the knight, I think that is totally unnecessary. So we are looking for a ladder here. The floors are a little bit longer than in the games that I've mentioned, you know, ad nauseum over the course of this video so far. But that's only because I believe there's only one ladder, whereas, I mean, in Sword of the Stars, the Pit, yes, there is only one ladder to get down to the next floor, or one manhole to get down to the next floor. But the floors are, like, layout-wise, they have substantially less rooms. As you can see, if you look at the mini-map, these floors are pretty long. That being said, I do think the average length of a game is substantially lower in this than it is in again, games that I've mentioned like crazy so far. So another thing that's really cool is we can look at our mini-map, and I can actually, if I want to go somewhere but I don't want to actually like sit back and press the arrow keys over and over, I can just click on it, and then we can go there. I don't know what all the symbols on the mini-map represent. For example, there is like a blue symbol on the mini-map right here. Oh, rope leading to the entrance shaft. Is this where we just came into the level? It might be. So we're actually looking for a door that maybe we can use to go down to the next level. The minimap, you know, minor complaint, it's a little tough to see sometimes. Maybe I've got, you know, poor eyesight, and I'm imagining that some of you out there do too. Oh, we actually found the rope to go down to the next level, not ladder, my mistake. Well, let's keep it going because we've actually made it this far. I'm a little surprised with myself. We have another helmet here. This helmet doesn't seem to do too much for me. Helmet of Amazement, plus defense, minus magic. Sure, why not? Even if it's just minus magic, I'll do that to spite the magic users out there. We have another sword. Longsword of Valor. That actually gives us extra damage. I should point out here, by the way, if you look at the interface, the melee attack and the melee damage, like, the attack is my stat, basically, or my value for the attribute of attack. And the damage is the damage that I can expect to do with the weapon. And then my health, of course, is down there. At 45, it's pretty good, but it could always be better. Now, I believe that you're not guaranteed to have boss fights as you go down from floor to floor, but I have had floors with boss fights. So, I mean, I guess it depends whether you go to all the rooms that you're going to encounter. Scroll of Amazement gives me +2 range damage. Fantastic. I'm going to use that to accomplish basically nothing. This would lower our magic, and lower our ranged attack, but greatly improve our defense. That seems like a no-brainer pickup. So yeah, I guess what I appreciate about this game, even if it's not necessarily 100% my cup of tea relative to some of the other games, Spoon. What does this do? Extra attack, lower fire defense? That seems really useful. Is the spoon really going to be my weapon of choice right now? No, it's a longsword. I guess I'm just holding it in my offhand. I'm like dual wielding like a longsword and a spoon. Yeah, what I was trying to say there is, I appreciate that it's a little bit more casual, because even though I, you know, very much like games like Dungeons & Dreadmore and Sword of the Stars, the Pit, occasionally I do get exhausted with all the inventory management that goes on in games like that, and I appreciate kind of a more streamlined interface. Not to say that it's better or worse, but it does give me, you know, a little bit more time to focus on the actual combat as opposed to... or combat and layout, I guess, as opposed to just, you know, constantly looking at my inventory at all this stuff, and the majority of it I will never get a chance to use. I think we can actually go to level 3 now if we wanted to. Okay, this is... Oh, Jesus, I thought that skull was just like an ornament. Yeah, I may actually die here, but I don't think I can go up to the next level. Oh my god. Please hit it. Hey, I killed it! Okay. This is surprising to me. I am taking acid damage. Okay, but we're good now. And now we're regenerating health again as a result of our vest. Shaky rumba. Let me continue onwards. There we go. So I think it's like new tiles give us a chance to regenerate health. Now, if you could just kill the zombie, please. There's a lot of missing that goes on, especially when you're dealing with like ranged enemies. Ooh, this corpse did drop like a cloak or something. It's not something we want, but I'm glad that it didn't drop a zombie, as is often the case. It's okay, kitty, don't be concerned. I'm just attacking zombies here in the dungeons, but Dad's still gonna be able to put your kibble out tonight. I desecrated a tomb, which was a poor decision on my part, but there we go. We did survive, and we actually got a salve. What does the salve do? Gives knight 10 health. That is amazing, actually. Is this is the 4th floor? Okay, this is getting to the point where I'm like, do as I say, not as I do. And what do I say? I say, you know, go to every single, like, treasure chest that you can find on the floor in order to give yourself, oh my god, he does a lot of damage. In order to give yourself the maximum chance of actually winning on a run, because you don't want to find yourself behind the 8 ball when it comes to, like, your attributes and your items as you move along. Pick up Scabbard. It would really increase our damage with our weapon. That's good. But I am completely nullifying or, like, doing things that fly in the face of my earlier advice and just rushing through the game as fast as I can. It's an extremely poor decision that is very unlikely to work out in my favor. That being said, how awesome would it be if it did? But we will die if I get hit one more time. Oh. Oh, come on. One more hit. Oh, no. We have 2 HP. Yes, okay. We almost got killed there. Like, probably deserved to. Oh, my God. Necrotic Lifesteal gives Spirit 2 melee. I don't know what that means, but we got killed. And that's how I died that time. And you know what? You can just restart basically immediately if you're interested in doing that. This has been Hack/Loot. I hope you guys enjoyed this little spotlight. This is the game out of the bundle that I think I spent the least time with so far. But I like it a lot. It's kind of, I coined it as like a little bit of a lunch break roguelike, if that makes sense. It's kind of game, you know, maybe you got a half hour, 45 minutes, and you want to bust out like a roguelike run. If you have 45-minute lunch breaks, that is awesome, and, you know, thumbs up to you. Otherwise, you could, you know, just fit in a few runs in your evening at home during your leisure time. In any case, Hack/Loot is available as part of the Humble Weekly Roguelike Sale. You can check that out at the link in the video description below. Pay what you want, and of course, all of the money goes to several good causes. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, you can check out more of my stuff at youtube.com/northernlion. I hope you guys have enjoyed this Humble Weekly series of spotlights. I'll see you next time.